today, so this will be a quick one. Jays take 2 out of 3 at home against the woeful Detroit Tigers. Let's do this. So that first game was a whole lot of fun. 5 home runs for the Blue Jays. You love to see that, although as often happens, when you blow out the first game, you kind of wish that you saved some of that offense for a later game, and that did in fact happen. More on that in a minute. It was sure nice to watch the offense absolutely take apart Matt Manning, who is probably Detroit's best starter at this point. Not a whole lot to say about that. This was an as expected result. Also great to see Alejandro Kirk find his power stroke. That's going to be big going forward. Alek Manoah once again not having his A-plus stuff. That is 3 starts out of the first 3 where he hasn't had his A-plus stuff. He had good results against Kansas City because Kansas City is somehow worse than the Tigers offensively. I don't know how that's possible. But he battled in this one. He didn't have as good command at all. His slider was kind of falling 5 or 6 feet outside of the zone. Not what you want. But the Blue Jays are 3-0 in games that he starts, and that's really what you look for in an ace. Everything else is kind of minutia. I'm still absolutely convinced that we are going to see him in Cy Young potential form before too very much longer. I would like to see it sooner rather than later, say this weekend, perhaps? Yeah, not concerned. Blue Jays win. Hooray! The middle game is the game that I was at in this series, the Dome opener, and boy, it was a gorgeous night. And a gorgeous bobblehead. Welcome to the prestigious lineup, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., joining such luminaries as Marco Estrada and Mark Burley and one-hand Brandon Morrow. I don't know when he lost that hand. I think he used to have one. Investigation is required. But anyway, another fantastic outing from Kevin Gausman, striking out all the batters, gave up a 2-run home run. That's not great. And again, I feel like Kiermaier might have been able to catch it in a mirror image of his catch from the first game of the series, but it was not to be. He mistimed it just a little bit, and the man's not Superman. He's a very good outfielder. I'm happy he's here. He just didn't catch this one. And it didn't matter, so all's well. I've been reading some alarming stats, maybe you have too, about how the Blue Jays once again are kind of fitting into that hole of not being able to hit with runners in scoring position, particularly with 2 outs. It seems like if there's a runner on second base or third base and 2 outs, it's a fait accompli. We will make that third out the end, but also we're less than 10% of the way through the season, so no conclusions can be drawn. It is telling, however, that the Blue Jays mounted their dramatic 9th inning comeback with no hits with runners in scoring position. They were able to get the bases loaded off of some reliever I've never heard of. Like, I follow the league and I have no idea who that guy was, who they ran out there to try to close that game. That didn't end well. Bases loaded, nobody out, and the Blue Jays got the 2 runs to tie the game on productive sac flies. On the one hand, that's good. That's winning baseball. You like that. On the other hand, if they had had just one hit, the game probably doesn't go to extras and we don't need to worry about it. But whatever, 2 runs is 2 runs. They tied the game, and then how do they win the game? With a base hit up the middle with a runner in scoring position. So are we just complaining about nothing? Perhaps. Anyway, Blue Jays win. Hooray! And then last night's game, the game that's kind of like, that's unfortunate. The Blue Jays had a hard time kind of stringing hits together. They didn't really get a whole lot going throughout the whole afternoon. Vlad with an RBI single, that was nice. But for the most part, it felt like a trap game. I mean, most athletes will poo-poo the idea of a trap game. They will all insist that they are 100% laser focused on every game at every time, but come on, man, we all know better. No, the Blue Jays perhaps were not thinking that hard about this game. Chris Bassett was pretty good, certainly good enough to feel good about the prospects of him as a starter going forward. I don't think we need to worry about him anymore. He's officially out of the trouble trio. It's just the 2 of them now. No, I think the Blue Jays could have won this game, but for some reason it just felt kind of sleepy, felt kind of, lazy is not the right word, but it didn't feel like the intensity that had been there for the first 2 games of the series was there. Maybe they partied too hard the night before after the walk-off win, or maybe they were thinking about something else. I don't know. But the takeaway here, the Blue Jays took care of business. I said in my last video that 2 out of 3 was what you expect. 3 out of 3 would be better. I would love them to have swept that series, but as I also said in the last video, you really can't go into any series of Major League Baseball and say, we should sweep these guys, because even the very best team is going to lose 50 games, and even the worst team is going to win 50 games. So Detroit is not a 200 ball club. They're going to win some ball games at some point, and this was one of those, and whatever, move on. Blue Jays did what they had to do, and now we get to find out what they were possibly looking ahead to. What I just said about how hard it is to sweep teams in Major League Baseball should be instructive as to how impressive the start the Tampa Bay Rays are in has been. 13-0 as they arrive in Toronto to face Jose Barrios and the Blue Jays in the first game at Skydome Friday night. Oh boy. Like, it's really hard to beat even really bad baseball teams. Like, even really bad baseball teams win a bunch of ball games at the end of the year. I understand that Tampa Bay has been playing nothing but bottom feeders. I get that. But to have absolutely ground those bottom feeders into dust and walked right by them like they were nothing, and they're not just squeaking out these wins, they are blowing out some bad teams. And I guess, like, you should say, yes, of course they are, you should, but that's not how baseball usually goes. This is kind of spooky. And it doesn't help that we get the Trouble Twins and then Alek Manoah, who hasn't shown his best stuff yet, are the only thing standing in the way of 16-0 by this team. Ah, boy. I mean, is it possible that they could have this whole division wrapped up before the end of April? It's starting to look that way, doesn't it? Anyway, you can't worry about that. Baseball is as baseball does. No one is pretending that the Rays aren't a quality team. This division has 3 really good teams in it, the Jays, the Yankees, and the Rays. The fact that the Rays are off to this literally historically great start makes us believe that maybe they're in this whole other mystical tier and they're going to go 162-0. They're not. They're probably not even going to win 110 games. They're probably not going to win more than 105. It's also quite possible, as the Yankees showed us last year, that you can be absolutely piping red hot, unbeatable at the beginning of the season and still not win 100 games. So that is in the cards too. That's also on the table. What we're looking for here is Berríos and Kikuchi to show something. I'm not even looking for winning games. I'd like them to win games. Unlike the last series where you say, we need to win 2 out of 3 and 3 out of 3 if possible. I think if we win a game, if we stop their streak here, I think you have to say, we'll take it. It's not to say that they're a monumentally better team than the Blue Jays. They're not. They're just so hot right now. Everything's coming together all at the same time. Everything's coming up Millhouse. For one game, if things don't come up Millhouse, good enough. Honestly, we'll take it. Will it be Berríos showing some kind of glimmer of hope for the future for his season? Boy, I hope so. That would be nice. Will it be Yusei Kikuchi channeling his in-your-face, go screw yourself, kind of like coming right at you with my best stuff, spring training Yusei Kikuchi? Is it that guy? That'd be nice. Will Alek Manoah show his 2022 form that got him Cy Young runner-up? Will he be that guy? Maybe. Any one of those 3 things happening, I'll be taking it. I'll be over the moon if more than one of those things happen. That's what I'm taking away here. Wins would be nice, but that's not the primary focus here, I don't think. The offense is good enough, no one's saying it's not. It's a question of whether the starting pitching will be able to hold up against the inevitable Raysian onslaught of just little dinks and drabs and then a 3-run home run out of nowhere. God, it's so obnoxious. Like, how is Harold Ramirez this good? Is Yancy Diaz really this good? Like, who is Brandon Lau? Where did he come from? I don't even friggin' know. Like, these guys, they just pull all of these no-names out of nowhere, out of other people's organizations. They're like your 12th round pick in 1745, and now here he comes, and he's a 3-win all-star. Like, what the hell, man? Honestly, the Rays have figured out something about drafting and development and scouting that no one else knows. And they figured it out like 8 years ago, and no one's caught up. It's absurd. You'd think that someone would leave the organization, like the Yankees, the Mets, somebody. Pay whoever is running their talent development and just pay them all the money to figure out what they know that no one else knows. Get it out there in the public sphere. I'm sick of these guys having an advantage over everybody because they're in my division, and it hurts me physically. Okay, that's whining. That's enough of that. Blue Jays are in tough against the Rays. Let's win 1 of the 3, huh? Let's do that. That's it for this one. Thank you very much for watching this video. Like and subscribe if you are so inclined. I will see you at the conclusion of the series and we can assess the damage. Have yourselves a great weekend.